Hello. Today I'm creating a new VM in VirtualBox. I've selected skip unattended installation this time. Please see my previous brief video for basics, such as opening VirtualBox and then choosing new, not add. Unattended install options are greyed out now. What we can still control here is its hardware. 6 gigs, 2 cores. All the greyed options come later, using the Ubuntu installer's native interface. First and foremost is a proper keyboard layout, which we missed in unattended install. For apps, choose minimal or desktop. I love minimalism for its security and efficiency. Ubuntu's minimal is sufficient, not brutal, like, say, Linux from scratch or Alpine. We don't need third-party Wi-Fi or graphics drivers because virtual hardware tends to the most generic possible. Downloading updates makes the golden image mutable, but that's what we want from a bespoke installation. Advanced features aren't useful to me. ext4 is still good enough. ZFS offers compression and is supposedly more robust, especially for snapshotting. LVM Logical Volume Manager could be useful if you have multiple disks. LVM helps with partition resizing and spanning multiple disks. Something else yields more options. File systems and bootloaders have come a long way. Years ago, a single ext2 partition would have been the ideal partitioning scheme for an SSD. A separate boot disk, or partition, was a luxury. In 2024 you need an EFS partition for the bootloader. Let's persist in blissful ignorance for a moment and see that Ubuntu reminds us of this. Having the option of EFI system partition is helpful. It is a fat partition with certain flags set that we don't need to know about with this option. Go back, the partition table format normally requires a separate partition for boot. It may still be possible to install the bootloader to a partition. It's more possible it works. They chose the partition table. Since they gave warnings about an EFI partition dependency, the table must be GPT. Choose time zone. I've set username and password to what the unattended install would have given us. The defaults. Installation takes just 10 minutes to first reboot this time. The equivalent unattended installation took 14. We have more control, but power means responsibility. A minute for first boot, same as for unattended. What is new is this prompt for a couple of tiny updates since 20.04. That proves internet is working. I won't restart, these are not big updates. Before, after unattended installation, VBox user wasn't added to sudoers. I had to become root full time. I test connectivity to BBC News. I can change display resolution. I don't want full screen, that's too immersive and difficult to return from. I revert and shrink away the borders. The disk is 11.1 gigs now, half a gig less than when installed unattended and missing the entire LibreOffice suite. I issued du and df commands which show the 10 gigabytes allocated within the guest. Now I need the guest edition CD for sharing a clipboard and folder with a host. The CD is included in VirtualBox nowadays. I know guest editions, or the unattended installation of Ubuntu, installed the requisite packages of GCC, Make, Build Essential and Linux headers. I also know these are required by guest editions. Guest editions, in fact, complains about not having GCC 12, but it doesn't really matter, as we shall see. The Linux terminal really is a thing of beauty compared to Windows is. I install the headers with uname-r. They're already installed, probably by Build Essential. Now I can install guest editions, which is required for direct sharing between host and guest. I have to be root. It soon replaces the graphics driver and shrinks the client screen. There's heavy corruption inside the client Windows display area now, until next boot. The console output directs me to a log file. First, to find out what went wrong, without saying something did go wrong, and then second, it may hold clues. Catting and grepping, I can see it says I need GCC 12. I could uninstall guest editions with VBox Linux editions.run uninstall, just adding uninstall after it. But it's not a serious problem, and after reboot the display issues are 99% resolved. The version of VirtualBox here is 7.0.12. Version 7 brought big changes, which inspired me to demo guest creation again. The guest editions have full control over the window size now. I won't need Control and F to toggle host and guest focus. Tab completion works in this shell, which it didn't after the unattended installation. I'm making this VM for demonstrating Python stuff. As such, let's start by installing PyCharm. That's not really relevant to the demonstration of guest editions, so I'm speeding this up 30 times to where I'm looking to move data from host to guest, with shared folders. I set one up from Options, Shared Folders, Settings. For folder path I click Other, and choose a folder from the host that I want to share, or create a brand new one. I call this VBox Shared, and the name is entered for me when I hit Select Folder. I want it mounting automatically for convenience, and leave the mount point empty. It appears under Transient, but it isn't temporary. It appears again in File Explorer Quick Links, already mounted. I don't have permissions yet. I must add myself to the VBox SF group and log in again or reboot. Fast forward. After a reboot, I create a text document containing one word and save it as testfile.txt to prove I can save. On the host, I open a File Explorer and read out what I just wrote on the guest. I add another word to show that sharing is bidirectional. Reading it from guests proves it works. This sharing was trivial. It could have been much easier if the clipboard had been shared. As you see, sensibly the default is not to share clipboard. Guest editions just enables a working alternative that we can select to share. I will now demonstrate. I copy Hello World from the guest and paste it in the host, which shares the same copy buffer. Whilst in the host editor, I add some new text, copy and save. Back in the guest, the new text is pasted on command. Thanks for watching.